Hi guys, this is Debbie and Justin, and we are so excited for Week 1 Quest of Game On. We can't wait to see all the great things that are happening in your classroom. We want to thank our sponsors this week, Amarillo National Bank. They have donated the shiny new loot in the form of an iPad mini, and we will be giving that away to one lucky teacher. We are so grateful to Amarillo National Bank for their partnership. Justin, tell us a little bit more about this week's quest.
Debbie, this week, our quest is to see how teachers are setting academic expectations that challenge all students. And we also want to see how your students go through and demonstrate mastery of learning. Now, I know those two things may sound familiar. If you've been around Canyon ISD for very long, you know that we refer to that practice as framing the lesson, coming from the Fundamental 5 book. Remember, guys, when we frame a lesson, there are two distinct parts. First of all, we start the lesson with this daily learning objective. We want to state that in concrete, student-friendly language. It oftentimes starts out with this idea that we as a class will learn and then fill in the objective. The second part is the closing question, product, or task where students are able to demonstrate their learning. It starts out a lot of times with this idea of I, the student, will, and then there's some type of task stated after that. Now, the challenge to framing a lesson, and this is the part that I really want us to focus on for a little while, is making sure that our lesson frame matches the expectation of the standards. The best place to go to make sure that those are matching, you guys know this, is the TEKS resource system. And look at those IFDs. When you look at the IFD, you'll find the unit understandings. That's a wonderful place to look for those we will statements. There's always going to be a statement of learning and then a few questions to follow up. You could use this one through the course of the unit. This particular one has living organisms and non-living objects, and it's asking the kids to sort and classify those based on specific characteristics. To find those I will statements, look for the performance assessments over to the side. This particular one has the students creating a Venn diagram in order to sort those pictures into living and non-living categories. And then it's going to ask the students to orally communicate the reasons for how they sorted the pictures. Debbie, if these are the components to frame the lesson, what would that look like in a tweet for the challenge?
As we are looking at Venn diagrams for performance assessments, I know teachers come up with the most creative ways to have kids use Venn diagrams to demonstrate their learning. Whatever that might look like for you this week, you'll want to grab a picture of it and then tweet that out with a short tweet that tells a little bit about what they're learning. So in this case, it would say, I will sort pictures of living and non-living objects and tell how I decided where the pictures go. Hashtag CISD Game On. Now, if you want to try something new, I shared a link with you in the email to a folder of all sorts of Google templates. There's a template in the folder for a 2-circle Venn diagram and also a 3-circle Venn diagram. So if you want to let your kids use their technology and demonstrate their learning, this would be a great way to do that. Also, another way is to use the app PicStitch, and you can get that on your iPhone or your iPad, and it lets you take pictures that you take of your classroom and put them into one picture frame, and you can tell at the top this is a picture of a we will and an I will statement, and then the bottom two pictures are actual student products. The teacher would tweet this picture out and then put a brief description, and if you'll notice this one, it starts with a SS, and that's a shortcut for students. So students demonstrate mastery of their learning, and then you would always put the hashtag CISD Game On. A third way that you might want to consider is Google Classroom. And this is from Tammy Henders at Westover Park, and she has included the we will and I will statement in her Google Classroom. She got a screenshot of it and then tweeted that out along with her we will and I will statement and the hashtag CISD Game On. Everyone should be able to jump in on this week's quest because we see great lesson frames every time we're in classrooms. So choose one this week that you think is a great one to share out and then tweet that out for all of us to see. Everyone will need a personal Twitter account to be able to play, so be sure and set it to public view so we can see all your tweets. And then tweets can be up to 140 characters in length, and just realize that the pictures you tweet and the CISD Game On hashtag that you tweet will take a few of those characters. Twitter allows us to share a quick message, so sometimes commas and periods are often ignored, and we're all okay with that. You can also use abbreviations like the student abbreviation we showed you earlier, but the main idea is to get your thoughts out to everyone else. So everyone tweet your best lesson frame this week and be entered into the drawing for the iPad mini.
Debbie, that's the first part of the challenge, and I can't wait to see what people share. Remember, each week we're going to have an opportunity to level up. And teachers, we know that you are outstanding daily, but occasionally you want a chance to show off your superpowers, and we want to give you that opportunity too. This week, if you're going to level up, we're going to ask you to answer this question. How do students take initiative for their own learning and self-monitor their progress? So we have this idea of a lesson frame and they're demonstrating their mastery. But what if, as they demonstrate their mastery, they're showing us all along the way how they're progressing through the learning? That's what we're looking for. Here's what it could look like. Remember the Venn diagram Debbie shared earlier? Well, this time we have our living and non-living objects, but we ask students to sort those before the learning ever takes place. And you can see this student decided that the picture of the volcano needs to fit in between the two circles, because volcanoes look like they're living, don't they? They're kind of moving around and there's lots of stuff happening. And they put the flower petals off to the side. They're just not totally sure about this one. There are a couple of other decisions they made here. But then at the end of learning, we ask them to take those and resort this to Venn diagram. And this time when they orally communicate why they sorted the objects, don't have them communicate about all of those. Just focus on the ones that they actually moved during the process of learning. Ask them, why did you make the change? And then see how they explain that. That's a great way to help students see their progress through the course of learning. That's one example of how students can self-monitor progress. We can't wait to see all of the cool ideas you tweet. So Debbie, if we level up, here's what it could look like. When you tweet this out, it's going to say something like level up. We want you to start it that way so that we can start to figure out how to sort the tweets. And then finish it up with CISD Game On. This will enter you for a second drawing and then a little more loot. So Debbie, tell us about the loot.
One of the fun things about video games is being able to level up and earn badges, and Canyon ISD's Game On is no exception. So if you want to show off your superpower and level up, we will be glad to give you a badge that you can collect throughout the contest and display outside your room in the hall or anywhere you choose. So it's just a fun way to recognize your efforts and your accomplishments. So be on the lookout for these coming your way. Anyone who levels up, we will also enter your name into the drawing to attend the EdTech Team Texas Panhandle Google Summit. We held this event last year in Canyon and it was phenomenal learning and great fun. And so we will give away one registration per week based on your level up challenges. Thanks again to Amarillo National Bank for the iPad mini this week. So Canyon ISD, game on.